Hello and welcome to The Rant Presents Versus. Pachow! So this is a little series that I do. My name is Josh, and I pit two games up against each other. Sometimes they're very similar, sometimes they're very different. I have like 6 or 7 other ones, so if you want to, you can check it out on the channel. Today I'm pitting two survival zombie apocalyptic type games against each other. Both of them actually came out this year. There's a little asterisk next to that because one of them was released 2 years ago and then it was ported to the newer consoles this year. So let's give a round of applause. It's Zombie versus Dying Light. Let's get started. So, just kind of go over the games a little bit. Zombie, which, if you don't know, was originally called Zombie U, and it was released on the Wii U when the console launched. And I didn't play it until probably about a week ago when it was on sale on the PlayStation system. So I have a fresh mind for this game. It's just your typical kind of zombie survival game. It has all the little gimmicks in it with lockpicking and, special infected and stuff like that. Just centers around London. You have a few areas to go to. And it's simply just about surviving. And you get help along the way and you deal with tons of different things. Difficulty in the game goes from really easy to really hard really quickly. So just be careful if you're thinking of buying the game. If you're not a hardcore gamer, you might have a little trouble towards the end. It's a short game, too. And then, of course, we have Dying Light, which was released early January of this year. A game that I was very hyped for, and I was surprised. I was surprised that it was very good. It's a open world zombie adventure, let's say. And pretty much what you do is you do massively hardcore parkour throughout the town you're in. There's two different maps, a more like slums area with some buildings, and then there's also the city area, which is all buildings all the time, and there's a lot of fun places to go to. Story is pretty throw out the door, don't need it. But other than that, it's like you craft things, you lockpick, you do all the normal apocalyptic things. So let's get started here with category number 1. And category number 1 is gameplay, which is pretty important for any game series. So Zombie. What's the gimmick? What makes this game worth playing? How is the gameplay? Well, the whole gimmick for the game was the Wii U pad would be used as your kind of mini screen. You would do the lockpicking on that screen, you would do your backpack on that screen, etc., etc. And they ported it over to the PlayStation and the Xbox, so now everything's on screen. So it has the same gameplay value as like the Wii U version, but now it's a little bit dumbed down. Along with the gameplay being changed just a tweak, just a little bit. They took out the multiplayer aspect, which was actually quite interesting for the Wii U. They took it out for whatever reason. Maybe they didn't have the money for the servers, Rock Band, and so they took it out, and it was simply one person would be controlling the zombies. They would be placing zombies around the map and special infected, and then one person would try and survive, and you can play cooperatively or online. So it was kind of a cool idea, and unfortunately they took it out for this game. For the ported version. I'll just call it a game instead of ported version. Anyways, doesn't matter. How is the gameplay though? Pretty basic. There's no hardcore parkour in this one. It's more like you press X to crouch under things. You press X to crouch, go over things. Press X to slide on things. X is the button, the master button for this game. You can't jump. Only when it prompts you to press X can you jump. Other things with gameplay, boarding up doors. I have not found a reason to board up a door in this game yet, and I've played the whole game through. I'm just finishing up some of the side quest type things. which there really aren't any, besides from hacking CCTV cameras so you can get a better perspective on your area, and finding all these notes that a doctor needs to create a vaccine. And I'm guessing that once you get them all, he creates the vaccine and everyone's happy, and all the people you murdered are, are just going to be forgotten about. Gameplay for Dying Light. Gameplay for Dying Light is pretty interesting. They added the parkour element into the zombie survival stuff. So if you're a fan of Dead Island or maybe even Left 4 Dead, you might enjoy this game a little bit more because it takes what Dead Island did and kind of what Left 4 Dead did with the special infected and put them into this game. And then they added the parkour system, which is really great. You can level up your character. You can acquire new skills and new actions through the trees. Then there's also the nighttime gameplay, which is my favorite thing from this game because everything changes at night. And I know that was the big trailer gimmick, but really it was strong because you get double the points at night, and everything goes crazy at night, so it's extra hard. So if you're a person who is just starting the game and you accidentally find yourself at night, you're going to be struggling a lot because all the zombies are amped up. There's also new abomination zombies that come out, and they're really fast, and they can only be harmed by UV light. So you have a UV flashlight so you can stun them, and then you can kick their ass. So the nighttime gameplay is excellent. There's also some other various things you can do throughout the campaign. There's sometimes a plane will fly over and it will drop supplies to you, because in this one, I'm sorry, I should have probably explained this. In this one, not the whole world is infected yet, only this town is, this small city. And I think it's in like, it's somewhere in a Middle Eastern country. And so they're trying to contain it, and that's where the campaign kind of kicks off. But I'll talk about that in a different time. But they'll airdrop supplies in, and there's an evil person in the game who has a gang, and they can either get to it first and steal all the stuff, or the zombies can kind of overwhelm the area because the sound. If you get there soon enough, you get upgrades, not upgrades, but you get the supplies, then you can turn them in for points. So that was fun. And unfortunately, if you beat the game, they take that out. And that was like one of the best parts of the game, was trying to rush to get to the stuff. So in the gameplay area of things, gotta give it the Dying Light because it's just more refined, it's more smooth, and it doesn't feel like one button does everything, because you have a jump button, you have the kick button, you have the shoot your gun button, you have the swing your axe button. It's all there, it all works, and that's why. The gameplay for Zombie isn't too bad, but it seems basic because one button does everything. So that's category 1. Category number 2. Category number 2 is a new one that I haven't used in any of the other ones, and that is simply map. What's your map look like? Your area of operation, as you might call it. Well, in Zombie, you have several different areas you can travel throughout or fast travel to, but they're pretty small, they're pretty basic. You pretty much just go to them. There's not too many secret areas for you to find, and pretty much it's just, hey, you're in the Capitol building, and there's a few floors to that, which is actually the biggest area, actually. Or you're in the sewers, or you're in the housing development, and blah blah blah. So it's a little bit of a small map, and it works for this game because the campaign's not too long, and it's just like a small kind of game. And they're selling it for $20 now, but when it originally came out for the Wii U, they were selling it for $60. And if I was a Wii U owner and I got the Zombie U game, and I only got 7 areas to go through, which were pretty small, I'd be feeling kind of gypped. But $20 is actually a solid deal. Get it on sale for $10 and you're golden. It's worth the $10. But other than that, the map is small, and like I said, they're varied enough that you kind of you can change up your style for every area, but the map is lacking because there's just Sure, you can travel between every area, but you have to load each area. If you fast travel, it takes an extra few seconds to fast travel. It's the basic stuff. Dying Light's map, there's two different maps, which are, like I was saying before, are very different. One of them being like a slum with a small town in it, and the other one being the main city, which is all buildings, and there's a giant mountain with an area that you go to for the main campaign, which you can't access again after the campaign's done. But both the maps inside Dying Light are very varied, very varied. um, the the parkour stuff really comes into play here because you have to have a different running style for the different areas, and sometimes you can go through an area without touching the ground, or other times you have to go on the ground to get to a different area. A lot of the high buildings, if you take the wrong turn, you're gonna fall and die. It's just really cool how different the two maps are so different inside the game, and that's why Dying Light gets the point for category number 2, because the maps are they're big, they take one load, and you're good to go, and also they're very very good, very varying. They did a lot of good work. Category number 3 is kind of a weird one. Category number 3 is the zombies. How do they act? Are they quote unquote lifelike? And for zombie, they do act like you would expect them to act in this game, in zombie. They're a little bit slow. In hordes, they can be very what would you say, menacing. Especially if you only have a cricket bat. And I mean, the one thing that's just weird about the game is you can smack them in the head, and their skull will be caved in, and their brain will be kind of oozing out, and they'll still be walking around and be like, "Oh, I'm fine." And you can hit them again, and they'll fall on the ground, and they'll still keep getting back up. Then you hit them, hit them, and hit them, and hit them, and eventually their head will explode. But it's just weird because normally in a normal setting, it takes one hit for anything to break the skull of the zombie. But I do get what they're doing. It's different, and it does take a lot more work to kill a zombie than any other game that I've actually played with the zombie universe. So it's kind of new, it's kind of different. The special infected in the game, there's one that is just like a spitter from Left 4 Dead, so it spits acid at you. There's one that's just like the boomer, so he explodes and it attracts zombies, and it will kill you if it's close enough to you, which is really annoying when you're in the small areas or there's a lot of zombies around you and you don't see the guy who has the tanks on him that actually explode. And then there's also these rage out ones that are really quick and really fast, kind of like the hunter. So very basic. I feel like a lot of these zombie games are just throwing special infected in there just because it's like, oh, everyone loves special infected. It gets kind of old after a while, because Dying Light is also one of those games that was like, okay, we're gonna throw the special infected in here. Some of them kind of make sense, but most of them don't. So there is the normal zombies, of course, which I'll start off with. If you don't have a high enough level weapon, it will take a few hits to knock them down and get their skull cracked open. But after you level up and you get the better weapons, you can just slice through enemies, and the limbs go flying, the head goes clean cut, and it's very cool. It's a very nice everything with those zombies. But here's where this game kind of falls flat on its face, because it gives you that realism of the parkour and the zombies, and it adds in these special infected that don't match up with the rest of the Dying Light universe. So you have the one that's called the bloater that is like a spitter. It spits out acid at you, and and they're really changed weird. You know, he's all bloated and poppy, and acid comes out of his mouth. There's a big guy called the Destroyer who, he just charges you like a charger from Left 4 Dead, except he's huge, he's big, and he takes tons and tons of hits. So somehow this guy mutated and grew 10 feet. And then there's another one who he's as big as the Destroyer, but he's skinnier, and he he carries around like a sledgehammer, or sometimes it's just a piece of rhubarb with a concrete block on the end, and he tries and smashes you, which is like, okay. And then there's also the exploders in the game, which they run around, they have their guts hanging out, and they randomly just explode when they see you. So, if you compare the two, Zombie and Dying Light, the one that has more realistic approach to zombies would be Zombie. And that's why Zombie gets the point for this round. Next is category number 4. Category number 4 is graphics. Like I always say, graphics aren't everything. So I'm just going to do this one really quickly. Zombie graphics, definitely not up to par. It definitely looks like it was a port from the Wii U to a better console. Even though the atmosphere is pretty good in the game, and the graphics, they do look nice, but they're not at the level that most graphics are nowadays. Especially since, you know, this is a port, it's like an HD remake, you think they could have amped the graphics a little bit. But I guess I might understand if they're, you know, not making the money they thought they would make on the game. Dying Light, really good graphics. Like I said, if you know, chop away with your machete at a zombie, their limbs will fall off in the order that you chop them off. If you chop off their head, it's a clean decapitation. Like I said, it's a clean decapitation when you swipe at their head. The you know, if you chop at them, slice at them, you know, of course blood and stuff comes out. The only thing that like with the last category, the only thing that's weird is that when you chop and hack at a special infected, that stuff doesn't happen to them. So their arms don't come off, you know, their bodies don't get mangled. That's kind of weird. I feel like I chop at these guys enough that they should start to lose limbs, but they don't. But it doesn't matter. The graphics level in Dying Light is way better than Zombie, so that's why Dying Light gets a point in the graphics department. Okay, category number 5. Category number 5 is story. And this one is close because both these games do not have the best story in the world. And I'll start with Zombie. Zombie's story pretty much is a survivor, and the real gimmick of this game is every time you die, you get a different survivor, and then you can actually find your old survivor and kill them and get your weapons back. Because they turn into a zombie. Sometimes, like if an explosion happens or if you fall from a great height, they won't turn into a zombie, but definitely if you get overrun by zombies, they will come back as a zombie, which is cool. And so the game starts off, you're a survivor, you run the safe room, and you're being helped by someone who has obviously prepared for the zombie apocalypse, and they have eyes and ears everywhere, and they search you out and they go, I need you to help me do blah blah blah. And he kind of helps you out through that thing. Later in the game, you go inside the Capitol building, you find the doctor who's working on a cure, and you try and help him. And then by the end of the game, there's well, I don't want to give it away, but by the end of the game, it takes another turn, which is kind of predictable, especially if you read the trophies before you played the game. So the story in it, pretty basic. It does hold up. It was intriguing to go through the game and listen to the conversations they had with you over the controller's microphone, and the different things that happened, and it all makes sense. It all works together. The story for Dying Light is a little odd. You play as an agent for some company, and you get parachuted into the area, and right away you get bitten. if you get bitten in this game, you kind of, yes, you turn into a zombie, but it takes like, I don't know, days it seems. And there's a thing called antizin that is like it helps weaken the effect of the zombie virus so you can stay alive longer. But of course, there's not much of it left. And throughout the whole game, you actually don't actually take any antizin, which is kind of weird. But you do have seizures throughout the course of the campaign because you don't take antizin. And these seizures are the worst parts of the game because they show up at these stupid times. It slows the game pace down. From a game that's really high energy and you're parkouring around and you're having fun killing zombies, it does have tons and tons of low points throughout the entire campaign, especially the seizure parts, because it slows you down. You're not able to run. You can walk to the next area, and sometimes the next area can be a few miles away, like at the last, no, one of the last times it happens. So it's very annoying when the seizures come around. The campaign itself, the story in it, it centers around you trying to help the people in the area, and the person who've hired you, they're like, hey, you need to get us that research that the doctor had, because there's a few doctors in the area, and you get the research, and then there is a rival in the game named Rice, and he is an ex-operative of the company who hired you, who landed in there before you, and he starts a gang, and he wants to sell the information to a company who will take it and weaponize the zombie virus. So you're fighting against him the whole time. He is a very well-designed villain, but the ending, of course, is a low point for the game. And the co-op stuff in Dying Light is good. It's fun, but there's a few levels that you cannot do cooperatively. That just makes it like, I've played the whole game with my friend. Why can't I do the last level with him, right? So there's a few low points, and that's why Zombie gets. It's so weird to say that Zombie gets the point in the story mode because the story actually makes sense. And of course, I really like the idea of, if you die in the game, you have to go back and kill your own self, and it picks up from there. So it's very, very interesting. I like that better than the story in Dying Light. Category number 6. Category number 6 is environment. And I've kind of already talked about this a little bit. The environment in Zombi, I still can't get over that dumb name. It's very dark. It all happens during the night, so it's very dark. It's very, it's a little nerve-wracking throughout the game, especially when you're in the dark areas. Of course, your flashlight needs to charge, so you have to turn it off a few times to help it recharge. A lot of the areas are nicely lit, but there is that feeling of helplessness in Zombie, because sometimes you don't find the weapon you need, or there's overwhelming numbers of zombies. I will single out a single experience that I had in this game that actually had me on edge, and that was throughout the campaign. You have to go to different areas to help different things, or do different things. And one area you go to is a nursery, and immediately when you walk in, creepy music starts playing, and things start going wrong once you get through there. There's no zombies, but it's very eerie. And eventually you fall through the floor in the most... I'm gonna use the word terrifying enemy in the game is down in the nursery, but it's not really like terrifying. It's not like Outlast terrifying. It's more like, this is shocking. This is, what I'm saying. And the nursery and the whole part of that is so well done, especially after the fact when you're getting swarmed by zombies, and the person who has been helping you the entire time is like, I'm having trouble opening this door in particular. It's because every other one he can kind of scan and work with. But the environment, very nicely done for some parts. Like I said, it's very dark, very spooky. London is a pretty good place for having a zombie apocalypse, I guess. Dying Light, the environment is... It's kind of weird. There is a day and night cycle, which is nice. So the environment does change drastically throughout the course of the game. Of course, if you do the campaign, there's some levels that have to be done during the day and some levels that are done during the night. So it'll automatically change the time frame. Um, and the sense of urgency kind of goes away midway through the game because you get all the best weapons, you level up and you can kill zombies in one hit, and then you're not having any trouble, and then you feel like a god among these zombies. But the first half of the game, when you're not as well trained and you're just kind of getting started, let's say you're a new player to the series and you're not sure how to do a lot of things, it can be very, nerve-wracking, especially at night when things are chasing you, things are double the power, and I mean, overall, the environment in the game is very nice. It has a very nice cycle to it. You'll have people warning you over the radio when it's starting to get dark, and they'll be like, "Hey, you need to get to cover or find a place to hide out for the night." Of course, you don't want to do that because then you get screwed out of tons of points. Um, and like I said, the map is very nice. It's very widespread, lots of different areas to cover. And there's a few parts of the game where you're like, really nervous or kind of on the edge of frightened. One of those times being the first time you go out at night, which is a new experience for a lot of people, because not a lot of zombie games that are hardcore scary or even nerve-wracking go on during the night for some reason. Like Left 4 Dead, yeah, they have a lot of midnight levels and sure, a few other zombie games like Resident Evil and stuff that happen at night, but are they really scary? Scary? Kinda. On Dying Light, the first time you go out at night is kind of scary, especially when you're being chased by tons and tons of the abomination type creatures that only come out at night. So all in all, Dying Light does have a better environment, especially with the night and day cycle, which I thought was better than the zombie, because that all nothing really changes throughout the course of the game. So as we stand here, Dying Light has 4 points and Zombie has 2. And overall satisfaction, which is category number 7, this is usually what I call the tiebreaker. But in this instance, there's really no tie. Dying Light has officially won, but in overall satisfaction, I did enjoy Zombie. It's a good game for what it is. It's kind of like more like an arcade style game. It does give you a few spooks every now and then, and it's kind of different than the other zombie games. Yeah, you have your backpack that only can hold so many things, and you have to really figure out, do I want more health stuff or do I want more weapons? And there's parts of the game that are really great, and the campaign's great. But overall satisfaction, I have to say Dying Light does win over, even though the campaign is. I'm sorry, the story in the campaign is like, dumb, and even though the zombies, the special infected, mostly are very outrageous and they don't seem to fit in the game. I do feel like I have been more satisfied by Dying Light overall than Zombie. And one of the main reasons for being more satisfied is the fact that you can play Dying Light cooperatively with up to like 4 friends, which is nice. A Zombie, they took out the multiplayer, which knocks it down a few points in my book, because the multiplayer would have been probably a high point of the game, especially because someone's controlling the zombies and someone's trying to fight them off. So, an overall satisfaction, like I said, Dying Light does get a point, but Zombie is still a good game. So don't count it out. So in all, like I said, both games are good. It's just Dying Light does have the gameplay and the better map and the better graphics and the better environment. And yeah. So if you don't agree with me, you can always type in the comments your angry hate paragraphs. If you want to, you can subscribe to this channel. We're called The Rant. We also have a normal podcast that we do on here, just simply called The Rant, where we talk about random things for about 30 minutes to 40 minutes. And then we also have the other person I do this channel with is Robert. and he does the 5-minute reviews. He puts a lot of information into a short amount of time, so if you want to, you can give those a watch and a listen, I guess you could say. Me personally, I have my own channel called Jarsh's Opinion. If you want to and you love hearing my voice, you can go and check out that channel. I have my own podcast on there where I give game reviews and comic book reviews and real life stories and blah blah blah. I also have what's called 3-second reviews. They're reviews that only have about 1 or 2 words in them. Short, sweet, and to the point. Even though the series is over, I still upload a few every now and then. And then I also have a few other series on there that I run that I just have fun with. So if you want to, you can check that out. If you like this video, make sure you slap it with a like. If you want to, press the subscribe button. I'm not here to tell you what to do. If you don't like the video, give it a dislike, and I will compare you to the Emperor's face.